Hi, welcome. So in this video, I want to introduce myself properly, which I'm not sure if I've ever done before. So I am a structural engineer, but over the last decade, I found myself spending more time writing software. So why would an engineer who designs buildings start with building software? My career started as a structural engineer, as a graduate engineer back in many months ago, 16 years ago, roughly. And from this, I realized engineering is not just about calculations, it's mostly about solving complex engineering problems and turn them into reliable physical systems in this case. Almost every project had the same pattern. We take real world messy data, usually starting from architectural concepts, for floor plans, etc. And we turn them into models, structural physical models, analyze and make sense of the structure. But that happens after we start with the concept of the design of the structural system, for example. And with that comes assumptions, best practices established by other engineers before us, codified design standards, manuals, etc. And over time, this practice helps me establish the sense of systems thinking. But that's not the end. I noticed another pattern. My time wasn't just spent on solving the actual problem. I recognized my time was spent on moving information around. It's kind of unexpected, right? We move one data from one place to another, whether that be in the form of drawings into a report from an output report, whether it's in architectural drawings into a structural model. The point is we convert this information in and out of our heads in able to produce an artifact that ultimately we submit to a client, a deliverable of sort. Most of the time it's about structural drawings, structural reports, specifications that make their way through site as we build the structure. So that process ultimately taught me the importance of engineering judgment in order to make decisions, especially under uncertainties, making assumptions around a decision based on sound principles, first principles, best practices, like I said earlier. But the challenge is much of the workflow around making the decision. Those workflows that help an engineer to make decisions around a problem, they are mostly manual and fragmented. So sometime 2016, I started teaching myself software development, not because I want to shift my career from structural to software engineering. No, it's far from that. All I wanted was to remove some of the friction involved within the workflow so that the decision could be made faster from the problem into the solution. The engineering judgment comes in between, but that process, in order to arrive at that decision, at that judgment, like I said, is very much fragmented and manual. That brought me to software. And then over time, I realized the interesting part is not just about the individual tools, not just your structural software, not your spreadsheet, not your design code or manual, not all those things, not your drawings. The important thing is how those individual tools, how those individual parts connect into a larger system in order for you to produce the ultimate artifact. So we talk of principles, architecture, and then implementation on a high level. How do we connect those three things in order for us to deliver the solution to our problems? So every system has a reason why it exists, a structure that makes it work, and an implementation that turns an idea into reality. So in this channel, I will share the systems I've built and the problems they solve. And I guess more importantly are the decisions that were made around them. And of course, the lessons learned along the way. So I hope to cover certain topics as engineering automation, software architecture, some AI systems hopefully, workflows, especially, and the lessons learned from building those systems. So my goal is not to show or teach how to code. I believe there are plenty others out there who could do it way better than I ever could. So the goal is to explore how we design better systems in order to solve a particular problem. Overall, I'm just another engineer who discovered the power of software in terms of solving real world problems. So that's it. I hope you stick around and you enjoy whatever I be able to put out there. See ya.